And so everyone is better off with Bitcoin in their life because
he's right. And guess what? Warren is the rat.
This is not your grandfather's Bitcoin.
Jack Mallard tells us why everyone should own Bitcoin.
And Max Keiser said Warren Buffett is a rat.
Yeah, and CIO of Bitwise says this ain't your grandfather's Bitcoin. Welcome back to Shooting the Shit from the Satoshi's Hive studio. I'm Damian.
I'm Andy.
And we're two guys sitting around a table talking about Bitcoin. We're going to lock ourselves in on our blockchain height at 934,036.
Keeps creeping up. And hey, coming up, the New York Stock Exchange goes 24 hours.
Yeah.
And they're now displaying one of the greatest papers of all time.
That's right. Oklahoma City is now looking into joining the Bitcoin family.
And it looks like the crypto bill is a bit delayed.
Yeah, and you remember that landfill lost BTC? Well, it is finally over. We'll get into those stories and more coming up.
All right, man, here we are. Satoshi's Hive, Lethbridge, Alberta. This is where the magic happens.
The hive's tiny, but it hums like a miner farm. I love it.
Right? We've got the wall lights, the mic, the on-air glow, and from this table, we beam it all out across the planet.
Straight out of the prairies to the world. And at the center of it, bimblebit.com.
Wherever you're joining us from, Nostr, YouTube, around the world, thanks for tuning in. Now, we talked about the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, have you seen videos out of New York lately?
A lot of snow.
Okay, they got snow, and there are a ton of states that are without power and electricity. So we are hoping you are all safe. We are sending you thoughts and prayers. But New York has really turned around, especially the stock exchange.
Well, they have. And, now they've introduced a blockchain platform where you can trade 24 hours straight, 7 days a week. And not only that, they're displaying this white paper from Bitcoin.
Little old white paper, that little thing. That is amazing.
It is. And so the fact that they're even doing this now, this wasn't even a consideration years ago without Bitcoin and blockchain because it could never be done. Well, isn't that funny how Bitcoin has come along on blockchain and it's turned the entire financial system upside down?
You could almost say it was laughable.
Right.
That's how they looked at it. This
Yes.
is not going anywhere. And now we are seeing the mass adoption across the board.
Unbelievable.
Including the New York Stock Exchange.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. King Daddy.
I was saying we need to get a copy of the white paper in here.
I think so.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Maybe
I've
we
looked
should
at
do
they're
that.
expensive. They're not cheap. So Oklahoma down in the state, they're working on a bill right now, like so many other states and provinces within Canada, to allow you to pay your bills with crypto and Bitcoin.
Isn't that something?
So that is a more adoption, different avenues, the way it's happening. And I mean, it's freedom for a lot of people, and the bills still get paid, and then it builds a reserve for that state, province, country, etc.
And it's happening all over. We're going to get into that in a little bit anyways.
Yes.
Now, also, Damian, the long-awaited crypto bill, they say it's being put off until late February of next year. I don't know what to make of that. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. It's always being discussed. So I don't know if it is going to be February. I still think it could come sooner.
Remember you mentioned last week that Brian Armstrong was probably one of the bigger proponents. As soon as he saw this bill, he went in and said, listen, this is not really what we discussed.
Right.
So thank gosh we have people like that are the voices of the Bitcoin. It's a bigger picture. It's crypto, but our focus is Bitcoin, and that's like front and center of all of this. It's what started. It is the granddaddy.
Right. And the fact that now the government, they want to control it in certain ways. Brian Armstrong was the first one to step up and go, hey, we want this crypto bill, but not that, and that.
Right.
So that's why it's being reworked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to the landfill for a minute, shall we? This is really a sad story. This goes back to 2013. The guy's name is James Howells. And I believe the story goes something like this. He put a bag containing his hard drive by the stairs, and the girlfriend grabbed it and thought it was garbage and threw it out. Well, first of all, James, why did you put it in a glad garbage bag? So there was a lot. I mean, there's a lot of Bitcoin, $742 million worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of them.
Yeah.
And he has tried every avenue to try to find this in the landfill, as far as trying to buy it. He's gone to the Supreme Court, and it is finally over.
It's it.
Case closed.
Had to turn the page.
After 12 years,
Yeah.
this guy has finally come to the realization that it is time to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he started buying a few 12 years ago.
He probably has nightmares.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, poor guy. So we have a new thing we're going to deep dive into a couple of fun little things coming up. Yeah, we'll get to those right away.
Attempt for a new world record, 320 kilograms on the bar, representing the United States, Mervyn Shane!
Bitcoin. There's no dead weight here.
So, Damian, I've run into situations lately where I'd like to talk about Bitcoin to my friends and family.
Sure.
And some of them, they really take the information in, and some,
Same here.
I'm sure you can probably relate as well as we talk about Bitcoin, depending on how far you're into the system, whether it's a year or 10 years or whatever the case may be. But lately I've been hearing two things. And one of them is, well, who's buying Bitcoin now? Isn't that kind of yesterday? Like who's really buying Bitcoin? And the other thing is, well, can you use Bitcoin anywhere? Like, can you actually use Bitcoin to buy things?
Two great topics.
Right. And so I just wanted to kind of, talk about that for a second. Nobody's buying Bitcoin. A lot of people are actually buying Bitcoin.
Because we're in a dip.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Right now, Bitcoin's a little boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sitting around, late 80s or whatever. It's a little bit boring. That's when you should be paying attention, though.
Right.
But here's who are buying. The ETFs that started January of last year, they own 1.5 million Bitcoin right now.
That's the Strategy Bs. That is the BlackRocks. That is the ARCs. That is the Capital 21 Capital.
Countries own 500,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Countries, right? Even Bhutan owns Bitcoin. I didn't even know Bhutan was a country before this, but Bhutan owns Bitcoin.
Education.
Go figure, hey? Public companies own 1 million Bitcoin. Private companies own 500,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin mining companies, the actual miners, they own 126,000 Bitcoin. I don't want to get too heavy in numbers, but what it means is when Bitcoin first came out, it was basically 100% retail. Guys like me, you, the little guy, the Joe Schmo. Yeah, it's a great idea. I'm going to buy some sats or a Bitcoin, depending on how long you've been involved. Well, now 43% of all the Bitcoin is not owned by people like me and you.
No.
And you. It's owned by major corporations, countries, sovereign wealth funds, teachers' pension funds, you name it. Bitcoin it's hit the big time.
Yeah.
It really has hit the big time. Now, another part is, where can I use it?
We've shown many videos
We
where
have.
you can use it.
And I'll start it by saying, A, you can use it anywhere because you can always cash in your Bitcoin for cash.
Absolutely.
And then buy what you want to buy. So yes, you can use Bitcoin to buy anything. But as far as when it comes to a POS system, direct like Square or something like that, right?
Point of sale for those.
Point of sale.
Yes.
Jack Dorsey created Square, and it is a point of sale. He's in 4 million different merchants in Canada and the United States alone.
I've used it. It's a quick
So
system.
you can use Bitcoin to buy at any one of those 4 million merchants around North America. Walmart has 10,750 stores. Now Walmart, with the help of OnePay, you're able to actually go to their checkout stands, use Bitcoin immediately. It's right in their register, right in their computer where you pay for your
All
goods
set
and
up.
services. Unbelievable, right? 60% of all top U.S. banks now deal in Bitcoin, whether they custody, whether you can buy or sell. So it's just, there's so much as far as people are buying Bitcoin, and major institutions, countries, and everything else, not just me and you. They finally figured it out, right? We front run them a little bit, but still. That's an amazing part of those two things. So if you're asked those questions again, just think of those couple of points. It might help you, like it's trying to help me, persuade a few people. You should really at least watch a video or two and learn about it.
Yeah.
Really
Well done.
important.
Well done.
Yeah.
We got the full videos on the way.
And it shines like the morning sun. Oh, the train rolls on, Bitcoin's gone home.
Bitcoin, it's not that bad.
So at the start of the show, we kicked off with our video teases. The first one was Jack Mallers. Now, he is the guy that owns 21 Capital.
Yep.
He is the one that came up with Strike. His dad taught him everything he knew. And he basically tells us why everybody should own Bitcoin. Why is that, Jack?
You need Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't need you. And, you look in the mirror and you realize I'm better off as an individual, as a family, as a business, as a country with a harder money. I think society has a direct correlation to the hardness of its money. Hardness is, by the way, it's a direct reference in how hard is it to produce more. When you have a hard money that's bound to the physical constraints of Mother Nature, it allows you to prioritize the future, lower your time preference, to coordinate effectively and efficiently in a free marketplace. And so everyone is better off with Bitcoin in their life because Bitcoin is the hardest money we've ever conceived of. It's bound to the physical realities of the universe. You physically cannot make any more of it, which makes it the safest place for me to store my work.
Hard money. I never thought of it that way before. I thought it was important that we showed the video in its entirety because it explains the hard money. And I like the analogy.
Right. Gold and silver can be mined. Fiat money can be printed, but there's a finite amount of Bitcoin available and it's programmed in. No more can ever be created. That's the hard money formula, right?
Yeah. And if you can find the video, Jack Mallers has one talking about BTC locked in time, and it's really a fascinating watch. For
absolutely.
Sure. This guy's wild.
Yeah, Max Keiser.
He's entertaining to watch.
If you've been in the space for any amount of time, you know Max Keiser. He's not a quiet fella. He's a big advocate for Bitcoin. He's actually quite funny on stage because he actually overacts, and it's really quite
well,
funny.
he is an actor by trade. He's a director. He's written books. He's done a lot.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy, that guy. And so he tells us why Warren Buffett is the rat.
I think it's going a lot higher. So you're still talking about a 10-time gain, 10x gains from here in the next, in the medium term. I mean, it's still going to outperform stocks, bonds, gold. It's going to outperform everything. It's going to outperform Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett said, famously so, compared Bitcoin to rat poison. And you know what? He's right. And guess what? Warren is the rat.
Oh, he doesn't care what he says.
No.
I like that a lot.
No, not at all. And he's just an outspoken guy who is 100% believer, just like your sailors and your woos and all these other people. Yeah.
Yeah, and he says right off the top, well, it's going to go a lot higher, so let's watch it go a lot higher. This ain't your grandfather's Bitcoin. Matt Hugin from Bitwise CEO talks about Bitcoin maturing into an institutional asset.
Here's the incredible thing. We are sort of gifting ourselves a prediction here because last year, Bitcoin was about as volatile as NVIDIA. One of the things I love to do when I speak with institutional investors about Bitcoin is update their priors. People think of it as this wild and crazy market. How could you put it in a portfolio? Actually, for the last year or so, it's been about as volatile as the average tech stock. This is not your grandfather's Bitcoin.
So it's not like it used to be. This is brand new, and this is its volatility is no better than the stock exchange,
than the NASDAQ, predominantly, right? If you take a look at the volatility index over the last 10 years, they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
So they're compatible.
And last week we learned over 2 years, 200%, over 3 years, 300%, up 70% over the, that's the bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good. Do you got anything else there? Any buying going on, Michael Saylor?
Oh, yeah. Michael Saylor, he did have a big week last week. He bought, 2,600 Bitcoin? About 2 or 3 times more than normal in his weekly or bi-weekly buys. So he is still believing and stacking hard.
Yeah, good. Yeah. We're going to give the last word to CZ, that is Changpeng Zhao from Binance, talking about something cool. Well,
26, I'm not sure. You may be, I think I have very strong feelings that you will probably be a super cycle.
Be a super cycle?
2026, yeah.
For Bitcoin?
For Bitcoin.
Super cycle. I think next week we should dive into that a little bit.
I think we're gonna.
Are you down with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm looking at that because I've been looking at it too, and I remember last cycle I called it a super cycle, but it was nowhere near a super cycle.
No, we hoped.
But we'll dive a little deeper into that one because I believe 2026 is your super cycle year, and I'm not alone when I'm thinking that.
That a boy.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's time now for your Bitcoin event calendar.
Satoshi quotes. Episode 2. I've been working on a new electronic cash system that's fully peer-to-peer, with no trusted third party.
Hi, welcome back, and thanks again for watching our videos. We sure do have a fun time doing these for you. If you wouldn't mind hitting the QR code, every sat really helps the next show be better than the last. Thanks again for watching.
Absolutely. So in the meantime, I'm Damian.
I'm Andy.
We're just two guys sitting around a table shooting the shit about Bitcoin right here on bimblebit.com.
Cheers, mates.